Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Discover new strategies and tactics as Susan Solovic introduced today's top business leaders and entrepreneurs to reveal their stories and insights. Now, the host of the 1% Edge, the small business expert, Susan Solovic.
Hello, my name's Susan Solovic, and thanks for joining me for this episode of the 1% Edge podcast. This program is designed to bring you the best of the best so that you can create a competitive edge by building innovation into your organization's DNA. When you think about innovation, I think most of us, we think about new technologies or cool new products that are introduced in the market. But in order to remain relevant and stay competitive today, you need to be innovative in absolutely every aspect of your business. The coolest new product or service in the world won't succeed if you don't have the right infrastructure to support it. And one area of your business where you probably don't think about innovation is your people. Yet without the right people in the right seats, it's difficult to stay a step ahead of your competition. As Steve Jobs once said, great things in business are never done by one person, they're done by a team of people. Your team is the foundation of building innovation into your business, so you need to be able to attract the best and the brightest, and more importantly, retain them once they're on board. That is, of course, easier said than done. That's why I've invited my friend Chester Elton to join me today. Chester is the #1 best-selling business author. He is an expert on organizational culture, employee engagement, and leadership. He's the co-author of numerous books, including All In, The Carrot Principle, one of my favorites, and What Motivates Me, that's his latest. And you definitely need to put these on your reading list if you haven't already. Chester, you're one busy guy, and I sure appreciate you taking time to join me today.
It's always a pleasure. It's been a while, so it's great to just silent face.
Just like we haven't missed a minute, right? Right back into stride. Yes, exactly. Well, I love your work. And so I guess before we really drill down into some of the specifics, tell me a little bit about your work over the last couple of decades and how it's progressed to where you are today.
Sure. Great question. Adrian Gostick is my co-author, and we've written several books together. In fact, we just submitted our manuscript for our 11th book, so we're very proud of that. And we started in Reward and Recognition, one of your favorite books, The Carrot Principle, based on a simple premise. Somebody does something great, you notice, you celebrate it, you give them a carrot. In fact, we even have our own little mascot, our little Garrett the Carrot, which is a lot of fun.
I still have one of those too.
Yeah, I know. People love them, and it's been a lot of fun. It's a great reminder, to look for the good that people are doing and not just the mistakes they're making. Well, we had great success with that. We saw great, results in engagement and people wanting to stay longer and better customer service. But to your point, what we found was if you didn't get the culture right, all the reward and recognition in the world didn't matter. You had to get the culture right. And to your point, I think it's one of the last few differentiators in work. You can replicate services and products and pricing, but culture, that's an everyday thing and very people-centric. Well, along that line, we discovered very quickly that you had to get the right people in the right jobs. And so that's when we wrote the book, What Motivates Me? Put Your Passions to Work. Have we got people's passions aligned with not only what they're good at, but who they are, and really turn them loose so that they can produce for you. So our work was very progressive, from the recognition to culture, and then to getting the right people in the right jobs with What Motivates Me. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I love that because I've always said, I think we get in a pinch and we look at people and we hire for their skill sets for one singular position. But, you really should look at an employee or a new member of your team as someone who can flourish and maybe expand and grow with your organization.
Absolutely. More and more I'm finding companies, especially in the services industry, that they're less concerned about skills, actually, because we're going to have to teach you how to do it our way anyway. And they really do hire for attitude and for fit. And I think it's very smart.
So I want to know, you're very focused on culture and the organization, but a lot of businesses, especially in my audience that are in that, high growth, rapid growth phase, they don't have time to really think these things through. So is it really important at all stages of your business? And if so, what's the advantage?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think you've got to set aside what is your mission and vision and purpose, not just what we do and how we do it, but why. Particularly with the millennial generation coming in, they're top motivators. And this is from our proprietary database of about 35,000 people that have taken our motivators assessment, and it's impact, it's learning, it's family. So, am I making an impact? Am I making a difference? Am I learning and growing and developing? Are you challenging me? I mean, are you putting me in situations where I've got a good mentor, where I've got a chance to explore my talents and find my way? And then that work-life balance thing, less stuff, more experiential. And that's very key. And that's the culture you want. You want that right fit. If people aren't really thinking they're making a difference, then, they're probably not the person for you.
I love it that you said that about millennials because, those of us in the baby boomer generation, I mean, we tended to just march to our orders, right? Somebody says we're going to do it this way. And we just said, okay, that's what we're doing. The millennials, they will ask questions. They want to know the why. They want to know the purpose and understand where we're going with things. And I think a lot of people can be a little put off by that, but it's really a healthy exercise to go through.
Oh, I think so. Our generation, we drove our parents crazy, right? And it's the job of every new generation to drive their parents crazy. But this generation, they're so informed, they're so smart, they're so capable that to be just irritated and not take the time to really figure it out, well, you're going to miss out on a lot of great talent and a lot of great ideas.
You certainly are. So for purposes of example, I believe in case studies. Can you share with us some of the organizations that you think really do a good job and get it right?
Sure. We do a lot in the food services area, and California Pizza Kitchen, they're so good about getting people in at entry-level jobs and developing them. GJ Hart is their new CEO. Well, not new anymore. And the first thing he did was really focus on who are we? What are we trying to do? What difference are we making? They kind of lost their way there a little bit in trying to be everything to everybody. And he said, no, we're California. We're gourmet. We put weird things on our pizza. Like if you're from Napoli, you're not going to like our pizza. We're going to put wacky stuff on there, and really engage the intelligence and the young people in bringing them along. What are you looking for? How can we be more creative? One of my favorite quotes from GJ is he said, not everybody's going to like what we do, and that's okay. Let's just stay true to who we are. And they've had a great turnaround in their brand. And, so that's an organization that does it well. But I think, in every industry, there are those industry leaders. American Express, a very traditional, classified as a bank now, and so on. They do a great job in mentoring and education, supplementing education. What is your career path? How are you going to grow and develop? Their comp and benefits team, with Kevin Cox and David Koshish, they're great about not just recruiting, but recruiting for the right fit. Get the team involved. Have we got some mentorship there? Where do you want to go with your education? Do you want to, work internationally and so on? So, two very different industries, right? You've got,
right,
credit cards, and you've got food services, and they both do a great job.
Well, speaking of food services, I just got finished reading the CEO of Chick-fil-A, or the founder of Chick-fil-A, and the company was all centered around his principles and beliefs and values. And I'm just curious. You've talked about some names, you've given this a human space. How important is the leader? What responsibility does a leader have in shaping the culture? Yeah,
well, the culture starts at the leader. How often have you and I both seen you change the leader, you change the culture? Speaking about great leaders and how they put the message out. Golden Corral, the best buffet in the USA. It's a fascinating company to me because there have been so many different buffet kinds of ideas out there that have come and gone, And yet here's Golden Corral, 45 years and just rocking it. So I got to meet Lance Trenary. I was speaking at their leadership conference, and I said, so what's the difference? And to your point, he said, we're very purpose-driven. Now think about that. So you say, well, yeah, it's just, food, lay it out, lay it thick, make it affordable. But he says, no, very purpose-driven. They do a lot of stuff, for example, for military families, and that really drives their service. They've got a thing called Camp Corral, where they set up summer camps for military families' kids. So it's really interesting. And it rallies their people around that noble cause. They'll send over 3,000 kids to camp this summer for free. They cover all the administrative costs. Well, in their stores, they ask people to put $1 in a bucket or to round up your bill. See, that's a culture where you say, yes, we provide great food at an affordable price, but we take that profit, we give it back to our communities, we make a difference. And they're so proud of that it drives the person that wants to make that difference to join them. And again, they take people that start as dishwashers in college, and now they're running their own stores. So that culture, that purpose, I think it makes all the difference.
I love it. So, Chester, I spent some time in the corporate world at an executive level. And I was part of helping craft a mission statement and our values and the vision statement. And we blew them up on posters and everybody had it in their office. And then, you send them out there and then everybody goes, yeah, right, whatever. How important is it for your mid-level employees and your line employees to really understand that culture and be a champion of it?
Yeah, it's critical. I think the easy part is the framework, getting the right buzzwords and so on.
Right. That's it, buzzwords, right?
Yeah. One of my favorite mission statements of all time was legendary food, legendary service, Texas Roadhouse,
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
they brought in all these consultants and they said, we got to flesh that out. And the CEO said, I'll tell you what, you can't change it as much as you want, but you got to keep it to 4 words. And 2 of those words have to be legendary.
Wow. Okay. Doesn't give you much room.
Yeah, no, but to your point, when you get down to the managerial and the supervisory level, that's where you have to execute. And so that it has to be very clear. So I love just the forward approach. Do they really understand it? And do they talk about it continually? For example, Avis Budget Rental Car, we try harder. So what does that mean? Well, every day they send out a blast email to all their locations with a great customer service story. This is what we try harder looked like in London or Toronto or, Dallas, Texas. So you give it depth, you give it that story. This is what we said, but this is what it means, and this is how we action on it. And you got to make it a daily thing. I love organizations that say, but we have a great year-end party.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we're going to give great gifts too, right?
Exactly. 364 days a year, it's a living hell. But that year-end party, I'm telling you.
That's right. Yeah.
To your point, just to finish up, is have you given your line managers, the vision and then the tools to execute on that? Like simple things of when you see that right behavior, did you reward it? Did you talk about it in your team meetings? Is it a living, breathing mission vision? Or is it, to your point, just something they stuck up on the wall?
Okay, Chester, so I'm going to put you on the spot here because in your new book, you have on motivation, what motivates me. You have a personality assessment. And I tell you what, over the years, I can't tell you how many of those things I have taken. So what makes yours different?
Well, first and foremost, it's mine. Okay. So,
of course, yes.
No,
I should have known that. It was obvious.
Yeah, but it's a great question because we struggled with that too. There's the Myers-Briggs and so on, the personality assessments, which I think are very valuable. Who are we at our core? And then, the strength finders and the stand up, what are you really good at? Let's get you doing more of that. Where we saw the gap was, what are you passionate about? I get who I am. I get what I'm good at. But when you add that passion, you talk about it a lot, that emotional connection to work. And so we actually had Gene Graves and Travis Bradbury who put together the Emotional Intelligence 2.0 exam, which like 5 million people have taken. We had them build it for us. And we're very proud to say it's statistically and execution-wise the most accurate personality assessment on the market. So we just say, look, it fills out that circle. I know who I am. I know what I'm good at. And I know what I'm passionate about. In fact, I was so excited to talk to you today. I thought, for our listeners, if you want to take our assessment, normally you have to buy the book or buy the assessment online. If you will text 72,000, and in the comment line, if you type in carrot, there's a shocker, we will send you, thanks to Susan, we will send you a free assessment. You can and tell us what you think. It's 100 questions. It takes you about 30, 40 minutes. So 72,000 carrot.
That is great. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. I'm curious. I've been talking a lot about diversity on teams, and I've talked about generational diversity and how, really the baby boomers, the millennials, we both bring something to the party, let's face it. But did you find any interesting insights in your data in terms of generational differences?
Absolutely. And, your thing about diversity is so key. When we first did the assessment, we thought it would be good for leaders and it would be a self-help kind of thing. The real benefit is teams. I understand the motivators of my team. Old school is we treat everybody the same. That's fair, right? New is, look, I've got multi-generational, I've got a bigger gender mix, I've got remote employees, I've got different languages, different traditions. You got to know your players. And so as we looked at our database and we said, what are the motivators of millennials? We talked about it a little earlier. Am I making a difference? Is there impact? Am I learning? And do I have that work-life family balance? I'll tell you the other thing that was really interesting is the bottom motivators. And money was not a motivator. It was a satisfier, but not a motivator. Ownership was not a particularly high motivator. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule. And they wanted coaching. They wanted mentors. They didn't want to, be autonomous, which was really an interesting insight. Because a lot of times you think of millennials as, they all start their own businesses. They want to have a piece of the action and so on. And overall, the general is it's not that way. So kind of interesting, isn't it?
That really is interesting, yeah. Actually, though, I just saw a survey from one of the financial services firms, and it said that of young people, so people still in like grade school, high school, that used to be there was this real interest in entrepreneurship, being your own boss, being ownership, and that is really starting to dwindle and fall off. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
So,
I love the names of the generations, by the way. Now Gen Z is coming in, and we just got our first grandchild, and I said to my son, "So what generation?" And you know what it's called? It's the swipe generation, because they learned how to swipe on their tablet before they learned how to talk. Isn't that hilarious?
Oh, that is funny. Yeah, we all got to put a label on something, don't we? Wow. So, speaking of grandchildren, you always end your presentations, your seminars, your keynotes, and you encourage everyone to practice these strategies at home. So they really work at home too?
Oh, absolutely. I always laugh about that. I go, we spend all this time developing great leaders and how to make our people feel valued and how to get them engaged and how to build these great teams. And then we go home and we don't apply any of it. It's just stupid. Who are the people most important to you, right? Your spouses, your kids, your parents, whatever it might be. So especially when we talk about, recognition, we talk about when was the last time you really took somebody aside and told them how much you loved them and appreciated them, or put a little note in your kid's backpack, or thanked a teacher or a minister. Everybody's having a tough day. I mean, my dad used to say that, Chess, you be good to everybody. Everybody's having a tough day. Well, when you have a great day at work, make sure you bring that home and share that great day with your families. It always pays off. So thanks for letting me say that, because I believe that, when it's all said and done, I hope, at my funeral, they don't say, wow, that guy wrote great books. I hope they say, he really cared. He really made a difference, and his kids loved him and his wife loved him. So if that's your epitaph, you're doing okay.
I totally agree. Yeah, I used to talk about, you're at work, you get stressed out, whatever, you come home, you slam the door, you kick the cat, whatever. That's just nothing to carry into your home, because you're letting other people have power over you. So you've got to let that go, concentrate and focus on the people you love and your friends and family. Absolutely.
And one last thing, because we love data, right? University of California did a huge study, and they said, if you are happy at work, you're 150% more likely to be happy at home. So I think, to leaders, your mission, because you don't work 9 to 5 anymore. We've all got smartphones. We can work anywhere, anytime. Send your people home happy, because that'll ripple effect into their families. And isn't that a great responsibility, I think, for leaders to take?
Absolutely. Well, Chester, I appreciate you being here. Some great information. Just a question. I know you travel internationally a lot, and speak to a lot of events. Do you see differences in the way this works when you go into different cultures internationally?
Great question. I just got back from Kuwait. You and I were talking, and interesting. People say, do you have to change your message when you go to the Middle East or when you go to Asia and so on, or even different industries? And I always say, what they all have in common? People.
That's true. Yes, that's right.
Now, is it nuanced? Sure it is. In certain countries, the way you interact or shake hands or kiss on both cheeks or don't touch at all. you understand that. But at our core, we are humans, and we have a need to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, to believe what we do matters and that we make a difference, and that when we make a difference, somebody noticed it and said thank you and celebrated that. So that core human element, is it nuanced? Yeah, but you know what? It speaks to every gender. It speaks to every part of the world. It speaks to every language and every culture. So thanks for asking. You know, don't be intimidated by that. Thank you and appreciation. I mean, it translates.
I agree with that. It's all about relationships. I don't care where you are in the world or what you're doing. It's all about relationships. So, and I'm really glad that you're my friend and we have a relationship. And I know that everybody listening today is going to want to stay in touch with you. So where can they find out more about booking you for a speaking engagement or about your books you've written, your websites? You want to tell us what those are?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got thecultureworks.com is our training company. So we've got lots of white papers and stuff on there. Adrian Gostick and I are both on LinkedIn. We write lots of articles. And then if you want to see some of our latest and greatest speaking and so on, it's carrotguys.com. It's really a lot of fun. So three places you can go for great information and it won't cost you a dime.
That's great. Well, and of course, we'll have links to that on our website. And then you can also find Chester on Facebook. He's on Twitter, Instagram. You're just all over the place, Chester, I tell you. So anyway, I really, really, really appreciate you being here. I know you're busy, traveling a lot, et cetera, but great information, great advice. I hope everybody has learned a lot because it is important to build that culture and build that competitive edge. So thank you so much.
You bet. Always great to be with you. And I'm so happy to see your success. And that 1%, I think you're spot on. You know, great advice from Susan, you guys. If you're not following her, you're a knucklehead. So
well,
anytime.
Thanks. And thanks to everybody for listening to the 1% Edge podcast. My goal is to make sure that you have innovation built into your company's DNA in every aspect of your business so that you can create a competitive edge and soar to success. Be sure to tune in to us every week for the 1% podcast.
Thanks for listening to the 1% Edge. If you found these insights and tips helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button on your podcast player and leave a review in iTunes to help others discover the 1% Edge.